And we're back. Yay! Because the computer died. Sorry about that, guys. So, what we've got going on? We started saying, I think we said hi, and that was pretty much it.
We said hello, and then we blue screened.
Hello, and then we blue screened. That's right. It is, again, we have no audio. Do we not have any audio? Is that what's going on?
It sounds like you have it.
But there's no...
see any...
I don't see any lines
no
going
audio
up and down.
on the board. I don't
and
know.
I don't see anything down below.
Whoever...
oh, wait, no, we're moving down below.
There we are. No, are we?
We're moving down below, but we're not showing anything here. And I think that might have just been frozen up is what's going on there.
Okay, well...
which is why he doesn't have pictures,
Yeah,
even though he has pictures.
broken.
Everything went broke.
Everything's broken.
Yep.
All right.
So basically what's going on is it is, of course, Fat Tuesday, which is also Mardi Gras.
Yes, and has anyone ever been to Mardi Gras?
I have stories involving pepper spray.
We're not getting into any of his stories. In fact, I think that earns a shut up, Rodney.
All right, shut up, Rodney.
And you also have to have a girl replicating.
Again, shut up, Rodney.
Two in as many seconds.
Yep. So, Rodney did bring us all these kind of nice little wonderful toys here, as well as this tentacle porn pen.
Yeah, there we go.
So,
Etsy has been busy.
Etsy.com/shop/BlasterPro for all your blaster
Etsy's
needs.
been busy enough to look at that right there.
This?
I've had to go to
20.
No, 20 is the bin number.
20 is the bin number.
Yeah, but
wow.
I've had,
look at this. There's a bunch of shit on here.
I have had to. No, that's just one. But I have had to.
I'm looking at it upside down.
Go back to doing. I've actually had to create build slips and assigning bins to build slips.
And how is BlasterProShop.com if you actually want to see what's going on?
BlasterProShop.com, we have discovered it does work now that we know what email it is functioning under.
It is working.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was the wrong email. You know what that email was? That was the email that Google forced me to make when I created that account. And somehow it automatically populated itself there, and it was not the actual Blaster Pro email.
Well, that's right. We were talking about you forgetting to go to a party.
Yes, I forgot to go to a party, and I should have known. We
were all there.
I didn't know it was last weekend, but I should have known when Rodney pulled out the laser and started making things for the party that it was this weekend.
Like, there was no reason for you should not to have known.
Well, I didn't.
It's still stuck to the table, too, our test.
That it's not just stuck to the table; it's burnt through
some of
the table.
Some of it depends on where you're looking.
That's because you were dumb enough to let Matt and I try to figure it out.
I was wanting you guys to test on wood, but Matt decided you wanted to test
wood
on it. Technically, I guess you're right.
Paper is wood.
Anyway,
like 20 minutes on that.
You spent hours on that.
Well, that was the figuring out.
It was well over 20 minutes.
Yes. Actually setting it up was like 20 minutes.
So, with that being said,
we would technically still have it set up and have you running the laser cutter on some of the stuff we wanted to do, like Papa Palpatine on
Big Palpatine.
Papa Palpatine's going to take a while because it's a grayscale.
And then my
out.
Logo on another one. But the problem is, by the end of the night, we would be dead from asphyxiation.
Yeah, with the pleather was not pleasant to have that on there.
Are we supposed to be that color?
He's got it on another page. He's trying to look at something, so we can't see ourselves.
Okay.
But if you turn around the reticle,
look at that.
The thing.
Important notifications. Do you read it?
Appeal rejections. Rejected.
Yeah.
Thank you for your appeal and for the review. We've determined that your content, Blaster Pro reviewer.
So anyway, tonight we will not have any blasters to display or on the table or anything because we're going to try to figure out how far we can push the envelope. Apparently, it's not very far.
Not far at all. Not far at all.
So what we're going to be doing is...
Why are you hitting go live? Like, I can't see anything. Anyway, I don't know. Here. He is clicking lots of buttons.
Yeah. Anyway, we're ending stream.
What are we doing?
I don't know.
What's what?
Oh, did he just kill us?
There we go. He was ending the old stream.
Oh, look, Straka says, what's up? And he also says boo because of the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, so I would love to have this month's giveaway blaster sitting out here on a stand, but we're afraid, even with an orange tip, we're getting struck pretty hard.
If you want to look at it, however you can, go either. Did you put up the pictures of it? Because he's got a bunch more coming up to Etsy. Whether they're there or not is a whole other subject.
Yeah. Well, since we're talking about Etsy right now, yes, the DT12, the Greedo blaster, went up today.
That is Etsy.com/shop/BlasterPro for all those who just you just put it on.
I actually was going to throw up the DL21 and Hoth and Return of the Jedi, but I'm kind of lazy, and the old ads for those don't exist anymore because they've been sitting. Hernan,
hi, Curly Larry in mode. Good night. Hope you two don't down again the live. We agree.
Anyway, the ads no longer exist, so I have to retype out the ads and create the whole listing and everything, and that's a little bit time consuming, and I really have been doing it on my cell phone at my little 5-minute breaks at work, so I could get to 12 up quick.
So if you want to look at it, it's going to be over on the Blaster Pro shop. It is the DL44 Return of the Jedi.
Yes, that's the blaster. Actually, we could.
And we will be playing, because it's next week,
Family Feud.
Family Feud.
And that is Tuesday. That's the last day of the month. Oh, guess what? That means that the very next day is when the Mandalorian starts.
It's the first.
Yeah.
Well, let's redress that. I'm more of a Shemp than a Curly.
Maybe he was saying, well, no, he's Mo for sure. Yeah, am I Curly or are you Larry?
I don't know. You're more of a Larry.
Really? I think I would be Curly.
Am I too serious? Is that why I'm Mo?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Says the man in the wizard hat.
Says the man in the wizard.
It's the Wizard of Chuck.
So since the Greedo blaster, the DT12 went up, I have yet to make the difference between the Jawa version and the Greedo version, right?
Joe was Shep.
Joe.
That's great. That's great. Don't ruin this for me.
So, the difference between the Jawa version and the Greedo version?
No, I don't.
The Greedo, the Jawa version has got a Han Solo DL44 flash suppressor on it. 100 times, yes.
So we're off to see the lizard, the wonderful lizard of Odd.
Anyway,
I just reading what was said.
Thank you for reading the comments. Rodney does not.
I have one job.
Rodney.
I'm just repeating what the ship says.
What the computer tells me to say. Rodney doesn't do that. I say, Rodney, you got to keep up with the comments.
Rodney doesn't interject.
I know he doesn't do
Anything?
He does what he does here. He does the intro. And then he gets a shut up Rodney. For the rest of everything else he says is just a shut up Rodney. No, so we went over this month's contest, correct?
Yeah, we just did the contest.
Wait, do we have to restart the Shut Up Rodneys? Because we have to restart the stream?
No, they still stand because
it's throughout one
Yes.
whole streaming night.
Yeah.
So we're at 2 right now, just in case anybody's wondering.
The current score is 2. You know what? If anybody out there tonight guesses the correct number of Shut Up Rodneys before the end of the night, you will get an automatic 5-point bonus on the giveaway this next week. If you guess the proper amount of Shut Up Rodneys tonight,
5 points.
You will get an extra 5-point lead, except for Hernan will get a 0.5 and
plus 5.
Because
Hernan automatically gets 0.5.
And we all know Jeff gets a negative 0.5. Yes.
What?
So in a tie, Jeff would still lose by 1.
My mic? Oh, it went into a cup. It fell off. Sorry, guys. It fell into my shot glass.
All right. So anyway, this month
while I was playing with my cups.
We have been.
Oh, wait. I have I have boobies.
Yeah.
It's a pacifier, but it's boobies.
You know what you have to do for some of those beads.
All right.
Do you remember the beads at my old house, right?
Yep. I remember. We're not getting into that. Not on the live stream. Not a live stream. So we've got Steven says 7.
Straka at 7.
Hernan, are you going to put anything out there?
You'll get 5.5.
You will get 5, and of course your 0.5 as always.
You always have a freestanding 0.5. Does he lose that 0.5 when we find someone else that watches further away?
I don't know. No, because he also, I mean,
He's our first.
he's okay with his point. Well, no, he's saying he's already got 2, so you don't want to go with 0.5. You don't want to go with 0.5.
No, he's talking about the score he starts with.
Always 0.5. Yes. Yeah, as a matter of fact, even when he doesn't play, he still gets a score of 0.5.
Exactly. Every single time, just because it's Hernan.
So, all month we've been talking about molds, mold making. We started out with the most
Shut up, Ronnie.
basic mold, which is a dump mold that most of those dump molds are the small Greebly type molds. And like I said, we keep them handy over by the pouring station just to, actually, you know what, Hayden? Let's grab the ROTJ DL44 and hand that to me and show you how far ahead a dump molds all the way.
Very far right, all the way in the center. There you
Yeah,
go.
hand that to me. Yes, what he's going to show you.
This is parts
This is just the Greeblies for the Return of the Jedi. They fall out now when I put them in here because it's a lot of blaster Greeblies. Anyway, the dump molds are handy whenever you have any waste material. You just pour it in a dump mold and go. Tonight we're going to be talking about molds that are similar to dump molds, but we don't. You wouldn't want to pour this solid. Here you go, Hayden. Thank you, sir.
You've never been involved in a Rodney Larry project.
Right.
Oh.
You guys would pour that solid?
Not on purpose.
Yeah. So anyway, after that, we talked about the one-piece molds for the larger pieces and how we pour them one part and then release them, cut them out of the mold and release the poured parts basically through a seam line on the bottom. And these are fully encapsulated. And those are my production molds. All the blasters are made that way. All the scopes are made that way. Everything is made that way blaster-wise, except for the dump molds for the Greeblies. Tonight, we're actually going to talk about helmet molds and large open face molds. You okay, Hayden? Hayden's having a meltdown.
I don't know.
That kid's touching me with the tentacle. Mom!
I'm not even paying attention, man. I'm trying. I am trying to get through. So we're going to talk about helmet molds.
Best dollar I ever spent.
You're not even going to see it for much longer.
Yeah, it may be confiscated. Yeah. Rodney, get him a ring pop or something. Get him a piece of cake.
I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going.
We're just distracting you.
No, the man's went.
Phil,
I can't reach it.
Anyway, tonight we're going to talk about helmet molds
My foot stopped.
and other molds. Rodney, show off your feet and give us a progress report. Has anyone ever
there's
heard
the
joke
fish scale.
about the
And
blind
there's the
guy
broke one.
going into the fish market?
That's like the biggest head ever. So
It didn't take.
it didn't take.
So they switched from bluegill to sturgeon,
Yeah.
and maybe you'll be more compatible
Well,
with
for some
sturgeon.
reason, Aaron really wanted me to have freaking lizard on my foot.
Lizard?
Yeah, he missed that whole conversation.
Well, there's a whole pig heart thing
Well,
going
I think
on
she's got
back
like a
in the day.
lizard fetish.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
It fell too. No,
No, it's still attached.
kind of low. It is buried.
Buried.
Bird, it's bird down
All
there.
right. Anyway, that better?
Yeah,
Is that more gooder?
Yes.
So, I don't even know where I was.
You're talking about.
So, basically, we're going to be talking about. It's actually not really just helmet molds, even though that's what we primarily will be making. But we're talking about Rotocast molds and or slush cast molds.
Darth Teacher.
Hey, there we go.
Hey!
No, I'm going to ask because I know who it is.
I do too.
I miss you. But you obviously don't know who it is. Do you know who it is?
It's Dan.
Okay. Hi, Dan.
How do you
Dan,
not know
That's
it's
Dan Jacobs for all of you who don't actually know who it is.
I'm gonna forget.
I know you will, but it's okay.
He's our favorite politician.
Oh, him!
Do you have
Now that makes more sense.
Do you have? You know what? I was actually going to have you before we started
It's the
tonight
cap.
to actually have the picture-in-picture scale up to the way you wanted it. Oh, okay. So anyway, so what we're going to do tonight is we're going to be talking about Rotocast molds, basically, and for our application, helmet molds. And matter of fact, Matt, while we're at it, who did this last? Did I do this last? Because half the
Was it you or was it?
You didn't let me touch it, so
half the
not me.
there. You see what I'm seeing?
I see
They're all
exactly.
half the wrong way.
Yeah. You know what happened? It got flipped over.
It
Anyway.
got turned and then turned again. I think it might have been Sean.
It could have been Sean.
It was
was
me.
for
Don't let me touch
the last pour out of this was for Sean.
I'm pretty sure it
Go
was
ahead
Sean.
and we're going to go ahead and pull this apart so we can start when we're talking about it. We want to talk about it in its broken down components.
Oh, okay.
No footage of this.
I know there's no footage,
There's-
but
what do
we
you mean
have
there's no
other
footage?
footage that will fit with this footage. So we'll still have stuff to talk about. Anyway, so we're going to go through the steps of creating a
There's footage of this somewhere.
roto. Yeah, but he didn't use it. He used something
Doing
else.
the vouch on it?
Wow, a medieval helmet, Hernan.
Actually, you know what? It's kind of, Mandalorian helmets, not really more, it's more Spartan-ish, wouldn't you say?
That means it needs helmet lights.
Oh, God.
No,
Shut up. We're not talking about Halo.
It's talking about actual sport.
We're talking about 300 Spartan.
That
yeah, I
one.
have to plug other projects I'm involved in.
Okay, we'll talk about plug your project.
I think that requires. Shut up, Rodney.
We're making a movie. It'll be fun. November Black.
Go ahead and talk about it because it does go down to a friend of the show and a friend of the workshop and a friend of the pit crew.
All right, so Larry started something.
Mr. Larry,
Therefore, we're all getting sucked into it.
You got sucked into it.
And
I am free and clear. Deb is
You're
not
next.
sucked in. Deb was a willing volunteer.
okay, Deb forced herself into it. How about that?
How many shadow problems you got?
I'm at 4, but
You're at 4? How did I miss one?
We keep different scores.
You're right, but I'm going off your cues. Anyway, so tonight, Hayden, have you got footage ready to go?
Yeah, but it's like a whole. It's the whole thing.
All right, so we'll talk and then we'll stop and then we'll talk and we will stop it. So basically, what we're going to start about,
It's 40 minutes long.
we'll go through it. We'll go through it.
4 minutes.
Actually, go ahead and start playing it, putting us in picture-in-picture, and we'll walk through the process of creating a Rotocast mold, or basically, if you just want to say, a helmet mold.
If you
Helmet
go 2x speed,
mold.
it'll only be 2 minutes.
But do you remember when I made
That's valid.
Do you remember when I made the detention
Hold on,
cell?
bear with us.
Yeah,
Can we
bear
go
with
over-
us, please.
That's valid.
Bear with us because we can't.
Because
see
we didn't
anything.
do this prior to, and we crashed twice trying to get the show going tonight.
That's what it looks like.
If
The
you're
black
happy
screen,
with it,
we just want you
Oh,
to play
no.
something.
Anyway.
Screen.
There you go.
Look, there's Rodney.
Play it at 2
we're
times
covering
speed.
up Rodney. So basically, what Rodney's doing is covering up my birthday present from last year. Thank you,
With
Matt.
crap.
And what I am doing is I am preparing to secure the mold to the base. Go ahead and pause real quick, and we'll talk about this.
Where is that? Is that here?
That mold is right over there, but
You want me to dig it out or not?
no, don't dig it out.
Oh, I see it sitting down there.
It's not even buried. It's just sitting right over there. Anyway, so let's just go through the steps real quick. First, you want to do your setup. In your setup, you want to clay fill all your openings. And that's what I'm doing right now. Go ahead and play right here, because this is what we're doing is what we're doing is making an apparatus to secure it to the base. Now it's secured to the base.
You might want to tell them that the clay can't have sulfur in it.
Yes, I will say that. With all of your platinum cure, and I hated, why didn't you just buy a gallon kit? I'm thinking back to this.
Because I was dumb and
you bought 3 quarts.
gallon.
You would have spent the same money if you bought a gallon kit.
Yes. And in hindsight, the whole thing, you know what? I'm done.
So what I'm doing is I'm creating, I glued in a piece of PVC pipe, and that PVC pipe is now connected to my birthday present from Matthew last year. He broke a blaster with it, but we're not going to talk about that. But we have covered that up with tape, and we've also hot glued that piece of wood that's going to accept the helmet with the PVC pipe glued in the middle.
Do we still have a monster clay?
We do have the monster clay. We have to cook it down and get all the debris out of it.
Anyway, we found that we really like monster clay.
Monster clay is great. Monster clay is an oil-based clay that does not have any sulfur in it. The sulfur is what interferes with the curing of silicone. So you have to make sure that you use a sulfur-free clay, or your silicone will not cure where it touches that clay. So what we're doing is we're filling up, backfilling, covering up all the openings on this helmet. And I'm doing a little bit of it. It's actually me showing Rodney how to do it, and then Rodney jumping back into it. But we're going through, I did the exact same thing on this guy.
The trigger guards on your blaster? No, those are just
I don't do trigger. I use clay on a lot of blaster projects, though.
Didn't we have to microwave this too?
We did microwave it to get it cool, to get it hot enough to be at room temperature. That was not very malleable. Yeah, so we actually did do that. So
each of those is now backfilled, as you can tell.
Yes, all but the big gaping maw. And we're going to get ready to fill that right now. And right now, I don't know why he's doing this, because that piece we didn't do jack with that piece.
No, we didn't.
You know why the Bausch helmet's not done? Because the greeblies are not done.
I never finished the greeblies.
Because we've actually pulled decent, good, nice pulls of this helmet, but we don't have the greeblies to finish it. Huh?
Yeah, we put a BlasterPro's.
Yeah, there's a BlasterPro.
Nice.
You remember when we were doing the giveaway and we had the stamp? We used that exact same stamp.
Right in the mouth.
Now, I am mixing up the rebound. I ended up cutting, since he got sample packs or starter kits, I am mixing all the material
and
up.
degassing.
This is combining the two materials. I'm just mixing the materials individually, part A and part B. I'm mixing them separately to make sure they're good for pouring. Silicone is difficult. It is a thick material, so mixing it by hand is
A pain.
it's not just a pain, it's painful. So in this footage right here, what I'm actually doing is doing the 2 parts, and Rodney's still working on other stuff, and I'm prepping the silicone. Now, every stage of this type of mold making, you should be prepared. Having, for example, your for doing your silicone pours, you should have all of your brushes laid out. You should have all your mixing cups laid out for every layer that you do. You should have everything set out, ready to go. So when you do start, you don't have to look for anything. You don't have to find anything. What Rodney's doing right now,
paint mixer bit on power drill help.
Yes, actually, what I use is an egg beater. Yeah, I use an egg beater. What Rodney's doing is we have got to fill in the gap between the helmet and the base that the helmet's sitting on. And there it is. And we're going to be smoothing that in and doing that all. I'm finishing it up, cleaning it up right here. This is all in preparation to go ahead and start doing our first
10-man armor. Matt Meyer says
Hey,
hi.
Matt.
It's going to be a lot of clay shaping.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I missed some stuff because I was paying attention to the video.
No, go ahead.
Nice hat, Chuck, from
Thank you. Thank you
Mr.
very
Dan
much.
Jacobs. I believe he means the wizard hat.
It is the wizard hat. This is the
And then he
Master
says, "Hey,
Ceremonies
now."
hat, right?
It's the sword and
Yeah, when,
sorting-
when they
it's
put
the sorting
The
hat
sorting
from
hat
Harry
for
Potter.
Blaster Pro.
When they put the sorting hat on his head, it said ask.
So basically what I'm doing is filling in the gaps between the helmet
funny
and the
for my
base.
opinion. I don't care.
And that's pretty much what this is, and we can just keep on talking about it. But it's very important to have all of your mixing materials and brushes. Each coat, it will require a whole new set of mixing cups and a whole new set of brushes. I use 1 inch. This is a 2 inch, but I use a 1 inch chip brushes, the cheapies that you get at Harbor Freight.
Yep.
And then we sit here, and I have everybody that's sitting around and not doing anything aggressively do this to try to pull out
Every
all
single
the
stray
loose
hair.
hairs. Yes.
even then you still have to pull the hair down.
And even then, you'll still end up having hairs
hair
in your
and
silicone. Yeah.
The hat has a reservoir tip.
It's actually getting loose. I pull it down tight, and then it just kind of walks back up.
The hair can't be shaken.
Oh, look at that.
Do you want to go like this? Like
It won't.
Oh, that's cool.
I tried to get it to do that in the beginning, and it wouldn't do it. All right.
you gotta crease it here. I'll keep my hand here.
All right. Is that better? Can you make it talk like a puppet?
You can just go.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Try to have more time.
Wow. How much footage do we have, Hayden?
40 minutes. of this
40
stuff.
You
minutes.
just keep talking.
We'll just keep talking because as the steps come up, we'll talk about them. But like I
this
said,
is going to be a long process right here.
it
though.
is very important to,
Pay more attention. And cut
which is actually probably what's going to happen is the one things I really, really want to talk about. We're just going to, it's
Go
like,
off.
oh, there it is. Stop.
Oh,
Pause
skip
it. Pause
it. Go
it.
back. Go back. Go back.
It's 5 times speed.
It's 5 times speed.
Anyway,
That is 5 times.
Yeah, I
speed.
know.
all right. So since we're watching footage of doing the clay work to clean everything
Some
up.
good time.
There we go. So what? The candle. Since this wax is,
Candle in the wind.
we use the candle
Oh, you can't-
to heat up
No, so
the
move-
tools
Can you
to
move
help
our picture
smooth the wax.
somewhere else? Oh, but it makes us really small over there.
Ooh, can
That's
you make
fine.
us go around the screen a bunch of times?
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm tiny.
That's a Rodney move. We
So
don't do that.
What are
That's
you
why
doing,
Rodney's
What are
not
you doing
allowed.
here around the mouth here?
I'm cleaning up all the edges to make sure you have a good clean edge to where it's easy to remove the pieces. Because that mouth piece there needs to be totally open because there ends up being a fairly large greebly that fits in there.
Yeah, I get you.
A greebly that we
So
still.
that line needs to be pretty
Yeah, we
much
still have
solid.
Well, yeah, all the lines for the openings I try. You know how I am.
I know. I just
I
want
want them to be. Even
I'm
though that
trying to
one's-
help our viewers as well.
Even though that's hard to cut out from the inside of that maw, I try to make them all so when you hit to that point, it just falls out. If you're standing them out from behind, Rodney.
Hold on, I'm showing Matt something. You keep
It
talking.
scares me when he gets into a box. Okay, so
Put that away.
Look at it.
Why is it?
we're applying the first coat. Now, the first coat is important
It works.
for several reasons. The main reason is you do not want to have
The
any
top of the
imperfections
helmet
or
always
air
reminds
bubbles.
me of a Sega Genesis.
What is it?
The top of that helmet always reminds me of a Sega
Oh,
Genesis.
Sega.
like
Oh,
the
yeah.
backpack.
Yeah, I know.
That was a PlayStation.
So the first coat you put on is the coat that actually is going to create the finish for the finished helmet. So you want to make sure you get it on. It doesn't have to be thick. It just
Basically a
has
nice,
to be
clean coat.
clean. Thin is actually better because you're going to have to eliminate any air bubbles. That's why you see me in the recesses. You see me hitting the recesses and tapping the brush in there to popping the air bubbles and letting the material flow in there. And also, since this is the first coat, there is no, when you paint something, your first coat needs to be a light coat, and you kind of call that a tack coat because all the other coats behind it will stick to it. If you put a heavier coat on, it will run. Your first coat is always your most crucial coat when you paint, and when you mold make, it is also the most crucial step. The first coat is the coat that's going to show off all the imperfections or all your good work.
This is stuff you told me, and I totally ignored the first time that I did.
As a matter of fact, yes, because you made a helmet mold without me, and you
no
came back.
separator or anything? Question mark from Dan.
No, you don't need a release agent for this. The silicone is stretchy enough; it does stick.
Oh, I'm pulling fur out of it.
But since
you don't use, we're gonna get to that. You gotta just keep watching.
We're in the first. We're like 8. So when you do,
but they. So the problem is a lot of our people, a lot of bigger people have seen this stuff, especially when you put this. Remember putting this one out. Mm-hmm. So they're asking because they're like they thought it was a different step. So
yeah, we will get. This is the very first coat of the silicone mold. We're going to get to the fiberglass mother mold here in a bit. Now when you're doing, this is actually probably what the second coat.
2 or 3 in, yeah.
Anyway, the first coat, like I said, is the most important because of the any imperfections, air bubbles, or anything you leave behind. They're going to show up in your finished product, and that's where you don't want to have it. Your second coat is going to be exactly the same, except you can put the material on a little bit heavier. And it's going to stick a little bit better, and it's not going to flow as fast because now you have that first tack coat down.
You were trying to have a good camera shot there, and you zoomed in on the wrong spot.
I think he's trying to point out the high pour.
Yeah. The high pour, it doesn't work at this point. Now, this is the third coat. Go ahead and pause it for a second. We'll talk about the third coat.
They usually cut that stuff out in there.
The third coat is, you can do this on a second coat. I primarily like to have 2 coats on the mold first before I do this. This is going to be a thickened coat, and I'll actually mix a little bit more for this for the third coat as I would for the second coat. The reason why is you're going to put a thickening agent.
It's a happy slime like Ghostbusters do.
For smooth-on products, their thickening agent is called 5X, and that's what I'm doing. It just takes a few drops. Blop, blop, blop.
So what exactly does the
5X thickens the silicone, and what you want is to get it thick to like a cake icing type of consistency.
Okay.
Like you just turn it sideways and it just doesn't move.
Okay.
And the reason why you want this is because what this layer, which is the third layer, the thickened layer, the job of this layer is to fill in undercuts and like visor openings or ears or whatever. You want to smooth over all those places to get a more uniformed shape out of your mold. And yes, 5X, THI-VEX. It comes in half-ounce bottles, and literally that half-ounce bottle will last you a pretty decent amount of time.
So he's saying use drops, not ounces.
It's drops, not ounces. Yes, you'll see me dribble, dribble, dribble.
Yep, more information that would have been helpful to person.
And this is, I had one bottle of 5X that I showed to the camera, and the other one was in my hand, and I'm just dribble.
That was almost an ounce there, wasn't it? Or is it just?
No,
does it come out really slow? Is that what's going on?
It does come out slow.
Okay, because it looked like you were just tilting it up and pouring it in.
No, that one's almost empty too, so I'm blowing a lot of air out with it too.
Okay.
But you'll watch when I mix it up, it'll be a little bit different in consistency. It's going to stick to the sides.
Unfortunately, you didn't show the consistency in the other one, so it's not
well,
as
the
beneficial.
consistency in the other ones, typically this stuff is a brushable material, so it actually does. It's designed to be brushed on vertical face.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that really is like
cake
a cake
icing.
It
Yeah,
is like a cake icing.
and
You're right.
you see, I'm using a paddle instead of a paintbrush with this. And what we're doing is we're filling in all of the undercuts,
Deep recesses,
Yes.
undercuts,
yes.
Visors.
I'm smoothing out like the lines underneath the visor. This is the visor I'm covering up.
And what exactly does that do?
What it does is it creates you want to make a mold that's you want to get rid of a lot of that definition for later steps of the mold process.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to smooth it out. I'm going to even try to smooth out the undercuts right there. The reason why is, I'm getting to that, is one, it strengthens the mold. Two, it's easier to create a mother mold.
Okay.
Now we're going to still go over this 4 to 5 more coats. And all those coats are just like the second coat.
Mm-hmm.
They're just standard mix until you get to the second to the last coat. And when we get to the second to last coat is when you start to add your keys.
Yep.
If you're going to use silicone keys, you make.
So you'll see now they're back to just painting
this
it on.
would be the 4th coat right here,
Yep.
which is just a regular old coat.
Now be sure to let it dry for a little bit in between coats.
It takes an hour a coat. So I think we did 6 to 8 coats on this one?
I don't know. I was here for like 2 days.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it took us about 8-9 hours to make this mold because of the flash time between. There's a certain formula, but basically what it ends up being is an hour per coat. And that includes application and waiting between coats. Silicone likes to stick to silicone, so you can actually let this sit overnight and then come back. And
Tin Man got it. He's like, it reinforces the weak spots.
it does reinforce the weak spots, and it also, like I said, it fills in. You want to fill in the undercuts because that helps the mother mold. And right here, Rodney and I both are
Painting.
yeah, we're both
Really fast.
We're both applying together. And if you notice, we have it on a rotisserie. Thank you, Matt. That's my last year's birthday present,
Like a
which
chicken?
I've almost had almost a year now.
Yeah.
Um,
Coming up next.
yeah. No, Saturday's my birthday.
So we get you a chicken
Sounds like a chicken.
for your rotisserie?
Yeah. So anyway, as you can see there, we're using disposable cups. We figured out with this particular helmet, or actually for this particular project, we used these cups and we took those cups and measured out, created another cup with a scale to use as our master, so we could pour into those and then remove the scale cup out and then mix and go. That's actually a shop tip I want to go over here.
You also
in the future.
disregarded all
Go ahead
of
and
my
pause
math.
real quick, Hayden. So a typical Rotocast style mold is going to be between 1 and 8 coats of silicone. We've skipped over a few coats on this one, but the big coats are your first coat, which is your detail coat. You want to get it in there, make sure it captures all the detail. Your second coat is to reinforce that first coat. Your third coat is the thickened coat with the Thivex, and that's going to fill in the undercuts around the bottom, the visor, or anything, depending on what you're working on. Like I said, we're primarily doing helmets. So when you're doing the helmets, the Thivex comes in and will
Basically make it a blob shape versus a detailed shape.
fill in, such as like on this Mandalorian helmet. Go ahead and hold the side so I can push it inside out.
Now put it in the bowl.
Now, so
I've done that.
so
a million times.
this just creates a dummy reverse. So on the third coat, the thickened coat, the 5X coat, you're going to fill in the T-visor perfectly. You're going to smooth over the ears, and you're also going to go around the bottom edge between the interface of the helmet and the base and smooth that out also. And also on the Mandalorian style helmet, you also are going to be filling in all of the key slots. So you got the ears, you're going to smooth over the ears, you're going to smooth over the T-visor, and all around the base.
And again, that's just so that it'll hold those detail pieces more than anything.
It will strengthen the mold, and it also, the mother mold, you don't want the mother mold to have to create a lot of detail. That's another thing. But filling in those undercoats makes the mother mold process so much nicer. Go ahead and push through, and I'll pull down. There we go. Oh, yeah, and it's a boy. So
it's just a helmet.
It is just a helmet.
It's just a helmet.
So now,
congratulations, you made a helmet. Yay!
We're now so at stage 3. We have done the 5X, the thickened coat, and we've done all the undercoats and everything you need to do. And now we've actually done coat 4 and 5 on.
You want a mop to go with that?
So coat 4 and coat 5 are just like coat number 2, which is just a standard mix. And we're just building layers on top of that. And one of the things you really want to be, closer you get to the end on the last several coats, is you want to try to get everything as smooth as you possibly can.
And by smooth, he's not saying that you want to try and get details back out of it. You're just trying to get, this looks like an amorphous blob right now. It's supposed to, because it's supposed to look just like me without a shirt.
And
what happens is,
as you can see, due to the third coat, you can't see the T-visor here. And if you turn it on the sides, the ears are just lumps. They're not like protruding ears anymore. They're just kind of, and it's because the ears have been molded in and tried to create a smooth transition. And like it also, like I said, it adds a lot of strength to the mold. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good.
Hey, I didn't make any back.
This is your stuff. I wanted to make sure that
you were here for the creation of this.
I was for the creation of that mold, yes.
And that was a long day.
That was a long day.
Because it literally takes
hours.
There is another process that I'm going to be starting to work with on making helmet molds, but the layered up process can take anywhere from. So this one took 9 hours.
Yes, it did.
I think Rodney's took close to 8 hours.
Now, the 9-hour portion is literally just the mold making process. It is not just the physical making of the helmet in order to get it to look pretty.
Was that including the mother mold or not?
So that did not include the mother mold.
So with this being said, I think we actually have
we're actually getting into
keyholes.
What's that?
The keyholes are about to be popping up.
Keyholes. The keys, yes. Okay, so if you're going to use silicone keys, and I threw away the Royal Guard mold this week. It's literally in the garbage. And then I was thinking, I needed that for a demonstration tonight. Even though the mold is retired, I was going through and cleaning the shop over the weekend, and a lot of things were getting in my way. And I'm like, this is retired. There's no more helmets going to be made from this. And I pitched it, and I was like, I needed that for a demonstration. And I even told you before, I was like, can you go find it? I was like, I'm not digging through the garbage.
Because what he did is he used on that mold.
So,
go ahead.
Yes, and I'm going to explain silicone keys. So say we're at layer 5 minimum, and you're layer 5 and you're going 8 layers, okay, or whatever. At layer 5, you mix a little bit more material, and the reason why you mix a little bit more material is, Rodney, grab right over there the little Dixie, not Dixies, but the mini shot glasses.
Can that material be made into wearable mask as well? Yeah.
You can use this material, but actually,
I don't think you have any out.
Go down below. You found them?
All
right.
We're drinking out of these.
There we go. Okay.
Pick up the hat while you're there.
I got it. And I'll try to get the moon and the star in it.
Hold on. I'm going to shape this thing really quick.
All right. So a good way of making keys is these little shot glasses, or they're I don't know, these are like, you can get these we can get these at Walmart, I think,
For like pennies on the dollar.
but you can
It's
buy
pennies
them.
on the dollar.
Basically, these are like what the restaurant would send sauces home with you. I mean, every bag old batch we get, we always have lids and everything. But
Jello shot
Jell-O
glasses. Exactly.
Of course.
Hey, you know,
If you knew his brother, you'd really understand Jello shots.
I don't, but
Anyway, if you look at it very closely, it's in this type of shape, which is good, because when you create a key, and actually I told Hayden, I was like, I don't have a way to demonstrate this, and I wanted to do it with the overhead projector, but Hayden was like, it's 2 cameras, logistics. So on your 5th pour, your 5th layer, mix extra material to pour into some cups, and actually even use aluminum rail. Rodney, there's some aluminum U-shaped rail right above you. And the only reason I own that stuff, it's going right here. The only reason I have this rail is right there.
It's not above me.
that's above him.
It's above me. See it back in the corner.
That's aluminum.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, a U-shaped channel, and you fill that U-shaped channel also.
That is not U-shaped.
Don't worry about it. Anyway, so you end up with a U-shaped channel. You plug it with some clay, and you fill that up, maybe 6 inches long. And then you fill up a minimum of these, like a helmet like this. You would have a big key here, and maybe on the sides and the top. Sometimes you'll even have one dead center in the top that your separation will go around. When these keys go in, it'll set up in this cup, and basically it'll be this cup shape, just like this. You do the base, the small side, and it V's out. And in the 5th, you create these on the 5th coat. On the 6th coat or the 7th coat, the second to the last coat, you start gluing your keys on. So if we're doing 7 coats, so we create these on the 5th coat, we did a 6th coat, these still cured during the 6th coat. If we're doing 7 coats, you poured these on the 5th coat, you demold them before you start the 6th coat. And when you do the 6th coat, you start gluing these boogers all over the helmet.
The cured silicone version.
The cured silicones. Yeah, you pull them out of here. And these, like I said, this silicone is a fast set. So in an hour, these are going to be handleable, but they're still going to be fresh. So it'll be sticky and a little bit gooey, but they're going to hold their shape. That fresh silicone, they go bam, they stick right to it. Then your last coat is a coat over all your keys. Now, when you did the U-shaped channel,
we're going to get to that in just a minute.
When you do the U-shaped channels, I wish I had these, but anyway, you cut them like this. So when they get cut out, they're cut like this, and you glue them down. I like the U-shaped channels, especially around the flange. And what you're doing is you're creating this channel here, a flange like this, and you're gluing it to the base. And this all comes in later on with the mother mold, because the mother mold is going to be sculpted around it. Now, I don't do silicone keys anymore. So I do what's called, I use rare earth magnet keys. And
magnets, how do they work?
And now that we've talked about that, here they are. This is us placing the magnets in this helmet for creating the keys.
And those are the little dots you were asking about just a moment ago.
And those are the little dots. They're little rare earth magnets. Yes.
Now they are quarter or an eighth.
The size, that was what we had.
I know.
So I think they're an eighth.
The wrong size.
They're
Those
an
are
eighth,
eighth.
but the ones I use are a 1/4 inch.
And what's going to happen with these? You're actually going to put these pretty much all over the helmet for the registration purposes, but you're going to keep track of the numeric value that you put on. So if you put on 20 different rare earth magnets, you have to keep track of them because you're going to lose them as you put layers on.
That's an important step that we didn't follow.
No, I did.
Yeah.
But I will show you later. You got to keep track of them, but there is a way to. If you lose track, there is a way to remedy the situation.
Yep.
So when I was saying before, this would be when you were dropping your silicone-made keyways on. Instead, at this point, I don't use them anymore. And I actually, the reason why I don't use them is they can cause dents and imperfections in your finished product.
Which is why he didn't like the
Royal Guard helmet,
yes, because it did cause some issues there.
And this process, the rare earth magnet process, was... I learned it from Nate.
Yep.
The guys at the Creation Museum are using this process. Nate is not in the mold department. So on this particular mold, I decided to create another thickened Thivex coat. This is not typical. The only reason I did it on this one is because this helmet is so aggressive and there's so many angles. I wanted to smooth this one out, and I was experimenting also with another technique. And that technique actually is I was using naphtha on the finished coat. I wanted to use naphtha and spray the whole thing down with naphtha and try to hand smooth it even finer.
Okay.
So... But yeah, we're actually doing something I don't normally do on this particular helmet, which is a Thivex coat. Normally, this would be just a final seal coat to lock down your keys.
It's going really fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
Pretty well.
He's just moving along that fast. Like Chuck is just that good. Is the reason why he can do it that way.
You know what? Okay, this
Chuck is really just that.
Moving right along.
Oh.
If you came to me and said, "Hey, what do you have the most experience making?" I say I had the most experience reproducing guns and blasters. How are you with helmet molds? And I'm like, I'm still learning. I've only done 4 helmet molds, and I think that includes this one here.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
And you've seen my very first helmet mold. I actually rejected it.
Yes.
Hands down.
Yes, you did.
Even though I spent $200 on it.
Yep.
It made one pull. That pull failed, and we gave that to Chris Clark.
No, you threw it on the ground.
No.
Clark.
Did that fall? I didn't throw it on the ground.
You threw it on the ground.
I did not throw it on the ground.
It
it fell on the ground.
Fell with velocity.
Regardless, Chris Clark, did he ever do anything?
I don't think he did, but what he was going to do is a zombie
trooper. Because that helmet mold was of the shore trooper helmet.
That's
We do need to make a scout that fits his head because he wants to do scout.
I know. I got
we'll
a
get
scout.
Into that later.
I got a scout working right now. I'm going to do test fitting on his head.
So as you can see, he did start using his hands there for a little bit.
You see in the spray bottle right there, that's naphtha. And that is...
And what exactly is naphtha again?
It will actually reduce silicone. You can actually reduce silicone with naphtha. It will cut silicone. It actually works better on non-catalyzed silicone as it does on regular silicone. It works great.
Sell some of the failed helmets for battle damaged kits.
I agree, but he doesn't like that idea.
They go to the garbage. They go to the garbage before they get a chance to be capitalized on. There was only one pull from that helmet, and Clark got it. So what I'm doing is I'm spraying it and smoothing it out. And the reason why I'm smoothing it out is for the best possible finished helmet, you want a smooth silicone mold for a mother mold to adhere to. The more rough and rugged your silicone mold is, the more chances of imperfections translating into the finished product through basically.
And again, that would be going back to this.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll notice that even though there's some bumps and ridges, most of those are magnets. It's mainly smooth because that's the way it needs to be in order to populate it. The mother mold, which is the fiberglass.
There is a method to my madness.
Mm-hmm.
And the method to my madness is my goal is to create no seam helmets.
Mm-hmm.
Like come out of the mold, damn near ready to paint type stuff. Like remove the visor and clean out the key slots and go. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so what did you do here?
Okay, pause it real quick, Hayden. So now our silicone mold is done. Our finish coat is done. We've put our magnetic keys in, and now we've secured our magnetic keys with the last coat. And what I'm doing now is I'm marking the lines for the mother mold. Those are the parting lines. You can see the parting line right down the middle over the top, and that's the parting line for the mother mold for this actual part right here.
It's the same process of what you're looking at.
Same process as what I did on this helmet. Yes. Go ahead and hit play, Hayden. Now, at this point, this is a tricky helmet, and I am actually talking to Rodney about maybe making this a two-parter or a three-parter. And what we ended up deciding to do is no, we were going to go 4, which maybe we should have, but we ended up going into a two-parter, but instead of a front to back, we went left to right. So we went, instead of front to back over the top, we went left to right over the top.
Now, I assume the reason you did that was because you got such deep recess here in the
Yes.
front.
So we can pulse directly off the front.
And you wouldn't have been able to do that if you had done it from side to side.
Yes. It was originally, I was thinking it was going to be a split in the front and one big back. So
that could work.
My original thought was a
three-parter,
but he was tired. I was tired.
That makes a lot of sense.
And fatigue may have gone. This is actually a very difficult helmet still today to demold.
You weren't here, so I didn't have anybody be cranky about
We didn't have anybody fresh when we were making these decisions. So we ended up going for...
Usually that's when Chuck calls me in to say, hey, Matt, I need you to come over so we can do this. And I'm like, okay.
We need somebody to come over and make sure we
really
don't die.
It's just to get a fresh set of eyes. It's not that he actually needs me. He just needs me to not, be stupid.
So basically what we're doing is we're creating a clay partition for the mother mold. Now the mother mold is...
So why are you using clay?
Well, clay is the easiest material to use. We can sculpt, and you'll see once we're warming up, kneading it up, and what you'll find is we didn't put any keys in the mother mold of this one because of the shape. It really didn't need them. This one, we did put keys in.
You put keys all over that mother mold.
Yeah, we got 3 keys. One in the front, one in the back, and one on top.
And what he's talking about is
the keys on these are just basically a wedge shape. Basically, I created a perfectly fine straight wall, and then I cut some wedge shapes and molded them in. If you can see them actually right here. You can see.
I think you can see them better on the recessed version.
Okay, yeah, you can see them on the recessed. You can see right there. There's a wedge shape here, a wedge shape here.
Turn that a little more towards the camera so they can see.
There's a wedge there, a wedge here, and a wedge there, and you see the corresponding wedges. When it's put together, they will boom go together like that.
Tight fit.
Yeah,
tight like a toiga.
Like a toiga. So that's what it was. How we did that. This one is using fiberglass and onyx as the onyx, the black onyx is what I use to cast my helmets. And I just use the black onyx because it's very fast and it sets fast. And I had a lot of it at the time. And I used what I had on hand. Rodney's is fiberglass. Fiberglass matte, just like this, but instead of using black onyx on this one, like I did on this one, we use straight up regular fiberglass resin.
I love gold.
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 Gold member.
I love gold.
How did you catch that?
I love gold.
See, Tyler's on. He works with me.
Tyler Butcher, shout out to Rodney. I don't know why you would do that, Tyler. I already don't like you just because you did that.
Where are we at on Shut Up Rodney's anyway? Because I
Yeah,
turned the
you don't
page.
want to know.
Okay. Well, there's points running on this tonight.
No, I have.
There's
I have
5 points. Okay. We're going off Matt's count, not my count.
Ooh. Wow, that's a lot.
Anyway, go ahead and run the footage. So basically, like I said, we're building the partition, the first partition. Basically, from the partition, you can tell that we're going to be doing a 2-piece mother mold, a front half and a back half. Now, Rodney here, I put him on itchy fiberglass duty. Just like
No,
with
he's gonna cut these into strips.
yes,
right?
just like with before, you want to have everything laid out and ready to go ahead of time. Mixing cups,
Roll that beautiful.
ready to
brand
go.
footage.
And on making the mother mold, you want to have as many. You want to have all the fiberglass pre-cut.
I'm left alone again. You don't count. Okay, so in this case, they are mixing the looks like fiberglass resin.
And Rodney found
so he had
a
actually
deal on fiberglass resin, by the way.
So he had actually cut out. You'll see on there on the right hand side, there are tons of little pieces of fiberglass. They are going to range from about 6 inches all the way down to 3 inches. They're going to be cut into smaller groups. Why is there no alternative to fiberglass?
There are alternatives. There are alternatives to
There are
fiberglass.
alternatives
Yes.
to
In our
fiberglass.
shop, we use the air stuff. Air
Yes.
stuff.
And I was going to talk about that.
Yeah.
There are plenty of different materials that you can use.
Not spray foam.
The what you want,
Why would you?
I did use spray foam. It was a terrible idea.
what you have to use is a rigid material. The whole reason for having a mother mold is to have a rigid structure to hold the silicone in its proper shape.
Otherwise, it'll swell, it'll
Yes.
move, it'll adjust,
Yeah,
and then your helmet isn't the way you want it to be.
You know, we can rotocast in this helmet, but every time we grab it,
It's
it
going to
will
squish.
flex. Yes. You can use plaster. You can use there. Like I said, what were you guys using? It was called
It's an air. Yeah,
So
air
basically, what he's talking about is a plastic material that is super lightweight, but it is very hard and very rigid. It's actually, think of what's the marshmallow? The marshmallow
I like marshmallows.
spread.
Oh, fluff.
Fluff. It's like fluff, but when it sets up, it's like concrete.
Do not use expanding foam. Rodney did that because he's retarded. We won't get into this, okay?
Okay, so the problem with expanding foam is that
He's retarded and you shouldn't do
the
it.
heat will distend it. And when you are casting and you throw your resin in there, the resin is an exothermic reaction. So you end up with heat coming off the resin, which will make the foam distend, and then you end up with crap all in your mold.
So the reason why we use fiberglass is this mold here and the Royal Guard mold, I was using leftover fiberglass from the spider build.
Yep.
I had fiberglass.
Vac forming for a shell?
No, you can't vac form for a shell. The reason why you
It's
can't,
too thin, right?
well, the vac forming process won't get you.
Be kind of loose.
It's applying heat, and basically what you would have to do is try to vac form a silicone mold with the original master inside of it like this. It's not going to work. It has to be some sort of a mixed. Well, like I said, the most basic material you can use for creating a mother mold is plaster. You can do plaster. You've actually seen me use plaster.
Well, on top of that, if you try to do a vac form, say with the helmet that we're showing the video of, you wouldn't get any type of detail, so it would just flex and move all over the place.
And another reason why it won't work is because of the
non-expanding and contracting materials. That's correct.
Yes. So the keys are important. What you're missing in the steps or the process that we're doing now is because we're using magnets, is when you have your key, like this piece here, like this, you actually want to have small pieces of fiberglass mat already cut. You want to have, and I even tell Rodney or even Matt, he's been with me when we do fiberglass work. I want big, I want medium, and I want small, because each size fits in a different area and does a different job. I want to cover a large area. I want a big piece. I want to cover along this flange. I want to build this flange up. I want a medium piece. But when I'm working around the keys that are sitting like this, I want small pieces. I want to lay a piece here, and I want to lay a piece here, and I want to lay a piece here. And I want to lay them tight around the keys, because those keys are going to, that mother mold, you want that mother mold to hold that key in proper orientation, and you want it to hold it tight. Something we haven't talked about is you can make a much thicker mold, helmet mold, than I'm making. Matter of fact, Lone Wolf Customs,
I was going to say Ficker.
John Ficker makes much thicker molds than I do. And his molds actually last longer and are more stable than my molds. I'm not taking anything away from John. I'm shooting for a different product. I'm shooting for a lived mold that doesn't have a mold line. Now, John makes great helmets that have very minimal mold lines, but it's still a mold line you have to clean up. And I think his products are excellent, and they're great, and I have nothing bad to say about them.
But they still have a mold line.
They do have a mold line. And I'm trying, not to say I'm 100% successful, because I've never been happy with any of the helmet molds I've made yet.
He's never been happy with any. Like, he doesn't even like his guns most times.
But I am shooting for a mold that has no mold lines and is very close to painting with the least amount of work possible. That means a shorter life mold. That means a higher price or a lower profit for the helmet, depending on how you go. If I want to compete with everybody else, I make less money. If I want to not compete with everybody else and just go 10, 15, 20% higher on the cost of my helmet, then I can have a similar margin. But these molds are good, max maybe 20 helmets. This one's at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 28. We did 28 pulls out of this one, and it has been officially retired at 26 pulls.
I thought it was officially retired at like 20.
It was actually officially retired at 20 because there were some defects I was not happy with. So, regardless.
Again, he could probably run B pulls on this all day long. You guys would love them and they'd be great. But he doesn't want to do that because it's Chuck and he's just weird.
It's not what I wanted to make in the end. All right, go ahead and roll the footage, sir.
Roll that beautiful beam footage.
So we are creating the mother mold. We're on the front half right now.
We could probably fast forward this.
Everybody likes resin.
Resin. This is when you get high. This is the last time we did this.
This is where you question my math.
I was going to go to work, but I
got high. So I typically do, on the fiberglass mother molds, I do a 2-coat deal. The first coat goes down, and then I will start to adhere magnets. The beautiful thing about magnets is you just run the magnet over the helmet, and then it finds another magnet, and you let go.
Click.
And then you go all around
And
the
now
helmet.
it's keyed.
You go all around the helmet and drop all the magnets where they want to grab. Hopefully you do remember, or at least taking a photo, like we do photos, to help us remember where some of the magnets were. Oh, on this one, I did notice we had an undercut issue, and if you notice the dark spots, that's actually me putting clay in those spots. And I knew that was going to be areas where the mother mold would not want to release. Okay. Now, this doesn't have any real true bearing on the finished product, but what it does do is clay filling some of those undercuts, you won't have that undercut in the mother mold, so it wants to grab and positive lock. So that's the reason why you can see in some of those tricky areas I added clay.
And that would be the squishy noise it makes when you pull it apart, is what he's talking about.
Yeah. What do we call that? Birthing an alien?
Yeah.
So you can see we are, and we do have, there are different size in the foreground, right there in the right front there, the bottom right corner is our box of fiberglass mat. And there is a selection of different sizes that we can pull from.
I went over that when you went to go to the bathroom.
Oh, sorry. But anyway, here we are on coat number 2. Have we adhered to magnets yet?
Negative.
No, we did.
Because this is coat number 2.
Wow.
Because we did that outside.
That was the back, though, wasn't it? Thought we did the front half inside.
No, because I was swearing a lot and I was trying to find the freaking magnets.
Okay, well, anyway,
on there.
Rodney lost the magnets. Anyway, so I typically do 2 coats, one full base coat, and then the second coat is to reinforce the lower edge and around the flange, and then to lock down the keys. It won't be a full second coat, but I think here we did a full second coat. But typically I do one base coat and then a second coat to reinforce the flange area, the base flange, which is the part that's along the bottom, and then lock down the magnets for the keys. So I guess after this coat goes on, we'll start registering the keys.
Well, through the movie magic, we will be outside, I think.
No. We had to do keys on this one. It's fresh. We did the outside.
Oh, that's right, because we did the back out there.
We did only the back outside,
yes. It was a terrible
yes.
idea to do this inside where we were just inhaling nothing but fumes.
I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Well, that and... Did we do this in the wintertime? When did we do
this?
this?
We did this in the spring or fall.
Whatever it was.
Combination. I think it started in the summer and ended in the fall.
The house was closed down.
For the files.
Yeah, Hayden. Oh, well, no, there's magnets already in there. You didn't catch us putting the magnets on. That's what it was.
Did.
Was it?
Yeah, that was when you were doing the thing.
Yeah, see, there's already magnets on there.
I brought you magnets.
You did? You brought more magnets? All these?
I brought you magnets so you could show people magnets. And
Oh, yeah.
No, I think people know how magnets work, actually.
No, they don't. Insane Clown Posse does not know how magnets work.
That's just the Miracle song.
Yeah. So basically, this is the last coat, and what we're doing is we are locking down the magnets, reinforcing the flanges. The flanges on the sides were a pain in the butt on this one. If you look how that contour is, that is so hard to get fiberglass to lay in there nice and good. And that's actually why I brought the roller out with extra resin. I was dipping it in resin, and I was trying to roll out and smooth everything down.
The rollers were purchased at Harbor Freight.
So here's the Min-Wax wood. When you do a, go ahead and pause real quick. Well, I actually let it play.
Just let it roll.
When you do a when you create these rigid pieces, you have to release. And I was taught in 1989 by a real school Hollywood prop maker when he was talking about doing fiberglass molds and fiberglass stuff. He told me they used wood paste wax as their release. And that's what I've used all these years. And quick shop tip, wood paste wax. You should use that same material to wax the surface of your bandsaw, the surface of your table saw, and also any of the working components of any of your woodworking equipment, because A, it will keep them from rusting, and B, make the wood glide right across, which is actually safer. Now we're outside being a little bit smarter. Yeah, it is fall. Look at the crown. So this is basically the exact same process. We've added the wax to the back half of the flange, so the two flanges will not connect together and will release. And we did the same thing.
Do you 5 times that, sir? Or is that just
that was in the video itself.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Which is the exact same thing we did on this one, sir.
Yeah, I know. I just was... Because basically you're going to describe everything you did.
It's the exact same process to the front, except for the wax has been removed, or the clay has been removed, and you've added a release agent, which in this case is a wood paste wax.
Now that release agent is just so that these two halves do not stick together.
So they will separate. Matter of fact, you can actually see wood paste wax remnants.
Now, when you'll notice at towards the end, it's not nice and clean like this. It's actually overlapping, and all the fiberglass looks like it's all sticking together.
And there will be a trim out.
It pokes you. It definitely pokes you.
Yes. The reason why I did use the roller on the Bausch helmet, and I should have used a roller on this helmet. This helmet will tear your ass up. So much to the point where I actually took a grinder to it, because this one is it's unforgiving. It is.
See, because as much as he makes this nice and smooth, this he doesn't really care as much about.
It's not that I care. This material, the onyx that we used on this sets up
incredibly fast,
3 times faster than
fiberglass.
The fiberglass resin does. And actually, when we did this, and so it's harder to make it smooth and really nice. I didn't have any fiberglass resin at the time, but I had plenty of matte. So I wanted to I could have done the shell only in black onyx if I really wanted to, but I didn't want to use that much black onyx. By adding fiberglass to the black onyx, I used less than half of what I would have had to use if I had just used the onyx by itself. The fiberglass adds the strength to it. And
stability.
Yeah. And it worked out good, and it worked out well. And where we're at,
he's got us queued up.
Go ahead and keep playing. So we're just going to keep working through this, and
I thought this was the end already. It's not.
Yeah, you should actually just let it keep playing. You're all right, son.
I don't know if I go that far.
Well, he is executive producer.
That's just Hubert thought pictures looking hungry.
But doing...
Notice there's some magnets put in.
Yeah, the magnets are there. So this is the true.
They're putting in little
one coat,
here
2
and
coat.
there,
This is a true 1 coat, 2 coat, unlike the front half.
Yeah.
And so now we're capturing all the magnets. Rodney's putting the magnets in ahead of me. He is running his fingers over. Actually, they will just jump out of your hand and find home. Now we're going to clean up the edge. And before you want to separate these two, you also want to drill the holes.
Which is basically what we're taking apart. When we took these apart initially, you can't. We're not. So we took these apart initially. There's holes in here. We literally have washer, screw, washer, nut, and just put it together.
And if for anyone's reference, Rodney bought the wrong stuff.
Oh god!
Yeah,
So
I
had
bought wing nuts, but I had not bought wing nuts.
So I had to donate some wing nuts to this project.
Because he is a wing nut.
And yell at me for wing nuts.
Wing nut.
So what we're doing here is drilling the actual.
And you're actually vacuuming at the same time. That is a first for the shop right there.
It's not really a first. You just don't see it that often. But yeah, we're drilling it to keep the fiberglass to a minimum. So we're drilling out the holes. These holes are the holes that are going to hold. These are the holes for the nuts and wing nuts or nuts and bolts to hold the mother mold together. And we're also going to go into the process. Oh, and you can see right there, that's the cut line. That cut line I have is the trim out line.
Now, if you were going to make an adjustment to this mold, would you just go back, leave the backside, put the wax on, and then?
To be honest, this mold should have been a 3-parter.
That's what I'm saying. If you were going to go and replace, you would just leave the backside.
I would have done the backside first and then partition to do.
I'm saying, but if you went back to try and redo it, let's say, would you just leave the backside and then just do a 2-parter on the front?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. It works. The mold does work as is, and it does take 2 people,
effort.
1 midget, and a monkey to get it apart. But we can pull 6. It does make successful pulls.
Okay.
It does make a very nice. I don't have one. Did you take that one?
We had a monkey?
No, we needed a monkey when we.
I want a monkey.
So we're separating the mother molds right now. And as you see, it is difficult. The back's going to come off really easy. The front's going to be a fight.
Because of the suction.
There it is. It's off. And we're going to set it off to the side, and we're going to get the front off. Look at that. That's beautiful. Oh, and it's funny how that Sharpie line translates into the mold. Oh, we got the front off.
Watching you use the screwdriver to open that makes me super nervous.
No.
You weren't here.
No, I'm reading it says right there.
No, we're responding. No, don't worry about it. You should see the scar on my hand from
Fiberglass cuts?
No.
Oh, like when you cut your hand, I remember that.
3D printer.
That's
Remember
a
that
whole
one?
nother thing, yes.
That one would get us banned from Facebook if I showed pictures of that. 10 stitches on the outside and 13 stitches on the inside.
Oh, I got to talk to you about casting I got to do.
So now this mold,
That's why.
We knew this mold was not going to come off as a sock mold. So we reinforced the back. See how thick that material is? We created an area in the back so we could cut a slit and slip it off.
No, we still have problems due to that.
We have been dealing with problems with the slit, but it's actually the thickness didn't go up high enough.
It did not.
So it does. You can see at that edge it got a little bit lighter, thinner, and that area does tend to rip a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this is a learning process. And boom, here it comes.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Yes, look at that. Did you add any footage of the first pull? Oh, Hayden added footage of the first pull.
Ooh.
I'm adding the sound effects because you can't hear them.
So now I'm turning it inside out, and what we're going to do is we're going to trim some excess around the edges.
You know, it kind of looks like a cow if you look at it straight on.
Yeah. There it is. There's the master and there's original. Now, okay, the baby powder is silicone is
Trade secret.
super sticky. So on the outside of it, you want to go ahead and just reduce the tack, the stickiness of it. The inside, now we're trimming up the
Edges.
The edges. On this one, we trimmed it when it was all together.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. On this one, we're doing a little bit different, but I did mark the lines so they would match when I trimmed them out.
I'm so glad we actually used that thing.
Dude, I use that thing all the time. That's one of the best tools we have in the back of the shop, which is a Rodney thing. That was what was that, a Christmas?
The engineering fairy gave it to me for Christmas.
The engineering fairy gave it to him. So this is the very first time we're marrying the mother mold with the silicone mold inside.
And you can see it's now back together.
It's all back together. It's ready for the very first pour, and we're pouring it with Smooth On Black Onyx, which is my Rotocast material of choice.
And why is that, sir?
The reason why is I like the thermal dynamics of it. It does not it react to heat as much as most other resins.
And by that he means, if you leave some helmets out in your car for days,
not even
it's
days,
going to end up melting.
Might be going from the hotel to the con, and it's in the trunk of your car, and it's a hot summer day, and you open up the back end of your car and
you've
find
got
out
a squishy helmet.
Your helmet has deflated.
So what he's trying to do there, the reason why he's using the black onyx is, again, because he wants the helmet itself to stay rigid even if it gets heated up.
Mm-hmm. There are some trade-offs, but to be honest, I think
it's a little more brittle.
It is a little more brittle.
It's still machinable because I was able to.
It is machinable, yes. It says on the Smooth On website that this is a machinable plastic.
But logistically, it is a little more.
It is a little.
Rigid
It
than
is
for
slightly less forgiving on drops.
Yes,
basically is what it is. But even
because effectively you're trading heat for drop.
Exactly. Well, the higher the thermal barrier, the more brittle and less shock absorbent it is. Now, I have material here in the shop that we can make helmets that we could drop off a 2-story building.
Oh, yeah.
But you get it above 80, 90 degrees.
It's going to melt.
It's not going to melt, but it's barely going to hold its shape.
It's going to melt on top of your head.
Yeah. So you can see how that mother mold is very difficult to pull off on this helmet.
Yeah, it definitely should be at least 3-piece.
It doesn't affect the finished product.
Yeah, well, yeah, naturally.
Can we use that material to do the egg drop test with Matt?
We're not putting Matt in an egg drop.
Could be fun.
Matt dropped in an egg drop.
Here we go. This is the first pull of the helmet, and you were happy with it, weren't you, Rodney?
I mean,
it turned out great.
Things that need to be fixed, but
we could go into production with this helmet.
And get the greeblies done. Got it.
And get the greeblies done, and then we can do it. There you go. There's the master, and there's the first pull next to each other.
There you go. It's looking pretty solid. And that is the logistics behind the entirety of a helmet mold making process.
Because we haven't even got to the regular.
You didn't tell me, but maybe we should go to the open face mold.
We're going to go to open face mold. Is there any questions?
I'm saying maybe we should do it some other time because Fat Man has to go to sleep because he has to get up early in the morning.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about Hayden.
These molds, this is an open face mold. This is a mold of a Hanan carbonite. Happy Fat Tuesday. This is a Hanan carbonite mold. Now, this mold was created in the exact same process. All the layers, everything. It's got magnetic keys, all the same things that this mold has, except for this is more of a slush cast mold. We use the exact same material to make this helmet as we do to make these parts. And we'll pour the material in, slush cast, move it around just like so. But this is an open face mold, as more of this is more of a Rotocast encapsulated
sock
mold. Now, I have molds that are exactly like this, just for armor pieces, like your flexible Stormtrooper chest plate mold. Those molds, I have a shoulder belt mold and a back mold. And those are actually for what are those Royal Guards called? The ones that are, or it's just Royal Guard, but it's
the legacy version of the Royal Guard.
So basically, it's the combat version. It's the armored up underneath the robes. It's the armor that's underneath the robes version. These are open face molds, but they're done similar to the Rotocast type molds. This is a Rotocast mold. Means it moves 360 degrees, moving material on the interior of the mold to create the product. This one we can't turn upside down, but we move it side to side, left, right, front, back, and allow the material to flow around. These molds are created in the exact same process, except for it's a one-piece mother
There's
mold.
no two-shell piece.
So if you imagine a Stormtrooper chest armor, we have a silicone mold of Stormtrooper chest armor with a fiberglass backing, just like this. And we were going to expand on these molds. They work very similar to these. These are not dump molds, though. A dump mold you will fill to the brim, and it's a solid piece. This is a hollow piece, because on the Han Solo Carbonite, we need to cut out some of these windows and add electronics and
Lights and everything else.
and control panels and this and that. And I actually wish we had the one picture I had of the whole batch of the first run of these guys laid out on the table. But anyway, this is officially retired. This mold still has a lot of life in it.
But he retired it because he did not like the way it poured.
No, actually, yes, I did not like the way this one poured. I made a replacement, and that one right there, and I liked it. So between this one and that one, there was two different. There's one thing. This one is designed to catch the material as it flows and roll up against the bottom here. This one I thought I did good, and then I poured it, and I wasn't happy with it. I was like, I was wasting too much material. This one will catch the material and slow it down. Actually, you know what I think I'm going to do? There's a third one of these. I am going to put all three up for sale.
There you go.
Etsy. This is the first set of molds I've ever sold. But these are the Han and Carbonite control panels molds. And there's only three of them. There's only 3 sets of molds. And all 3 are going to go up on Etsy. I think I'm going to sell the molds. Because, to be honest, I'm cleaning the shop out. I'm not using these molds anymore. I have another control panel that's going to be replacing these. And these are going bye-bye. Instead of throwing them in the garbage like I normally would do, I'm not doing that.
That's because there is a life. There's a ton of life.
There's a lot of life. There is. I bet you there's 30, 40, 50 pulls left in all of these molds. So these are actually going to go up on Etsy as Han and Carbonite control panels.
Those of you who have been watching from the beginning, you're aware that we had a Shut Up Rodney contest going on
Yes,
tonight.
the Shut Up Rodney contest. What is the grand total?
The grand total, and we only had one person give us a vote.
That was Straka.
Mr. Steven Straka. Now, are we doing closest without going over? Or how
Straka had, what, 7?
He listed 7.
Okay, yeah.
So
Hernan listed 0.5. Actually,
listed 0.5.
Anyone out there, throw out real quick in the next, we're going to give you a minute because it takes 30 seconds to respond. Your guess on Shut Up Rodneys. And
how many Shut Up Rodneys?
And the winner of the Shut Up Rodneys.
Do I have
think
on
it
my
has to
list
be
tonight?
on the number.
On the number. We're
On
not
the
going to do
number.
closest without going over?
Not even closest without going over.
Fair enough.
On the number, you get an extra 5 points.
Got 4 from Dan.
There we go, Dan.
Hold on, I got to write these down so I know I got
you
7
get an
for
extra
Straka.
5 points
Keep in mind,
for
not
tomorrow's
all
giveaway
those
or
that
next week's
shut up
giveaway.
Rodney, he just sighed a lot.
We got Matt has 5.
Straka's down to 7. We got a few more minutes. Anybody want to throw in another one? We got 7
Well,
from
we
Tyler.
got 7's already taken. Do we want to give him it as well?
You
or what
know,
do
if they
do?
tie, they get 2.5.
All right.
Anybody else? Couple more seconds.
Bastard.
All right, here we go. What's your grand total of Shut Up Rodneys?
I have 8.
You have 8. So that actually means nobody gets points.
Circle gets the square.
All right. Sorry, everyone. You will all be starting on equal base next week when we give away the Return of the Jedi. Actually, it's the end of the
Tyler, I'm in 8. I'm in 8.
You know what? It's the end of the show. So if we get scrambled now, it's okay. So I'm actually going to get the blaster we're giving away next week.
It's gonna pop up as soon as he puts it out. They're gonna be like, "Oh, look, it's a gun!"
Because we get shut down quick.
No, I don't, because you keep hitting my face.
It's a barrel.
It works too.
I'm aware.
Looks like a weird box.
Look at
It is
this
awful pretty.
beautiful DL44 Return of the Jedi. This is what we're playing for this month. I hope to see everyone out there next week. Going for it, we're going to be playing Family Feud. And if you know Family Feud,
Family Feud.
you can come in halfway through the game and still win.
what he
It is a lot of fun, and this is a very beautiful blaster. Matt, tell me how wonderfully beautiful this blaster is.
You just want me to tell you how wonderful it is.
I know, because I need
I like the lighter one better. I still like the newer version.
Shut up. Rodney, tell me how beautiful this blaster is.
It's
See-
perfect.
Good night, everybody.
Good
See
night.
you next week.
Happy Hanukkah.